Hi y'all. Welcome. Wait. Hi y'all. I want to say thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Stefan from StephMadeThat, and this is StephMadeThat, the podcast, episode 2, the official rebrand. We'll see if that catches on. I think it's kind of funny, but we'll see, because it's a podcast, so does it ever end, you know? But how are y'all? I am personally having a great day. After a super long day at work, today was exceptionally long. I stopped at my favorite coffee shop on the way home. It's called Brouhaha. If you have one, you should go. If you don't, you should find one so you can go. I got a frozen sweetheart latte. It is a raspberry white chocolate vibe. I'm not usually into fruity coffees, but for whatever reason, this always does it for me. I'm also not really into frappuccinos or like frozen coffee drinks. It's basically like flavored milk with a shot of espresso. But all that being said, that is exactly what I have in this cup today, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. So yeah. Aside from work today, I'm having a great day. I, already took my nap as I always do. So I don't know. I'm off to a great start is what I'm saying. But today's episode I'm very excited about. I have my list and it is well planned out this time. So we shouldn't be all over the place. But the first thing I want to jump into, which is usually the last thing I would talk about, but I'm going to start with it first, which is finished objects. And I'm starting with it first because I'm wearing one. If you weren't already excited, this is my Yolanda shirt that I talked about in the last episode. If you remember, in the last episode, it was literally just the tiny little purple starting foundation chain, and now it is a full shirt. And what we're not going to do is talk about my ends. They're not weaved in yet because I haven't done my final blocking, but hey, I'm loving her with every single end unweaved. My buttons are on, my panels, my collar, everything. She just needs ends and a blocking, so we're not gonna hate, we're gonna appreciate. And we're gonna appreciate everything about this shirt. I used, if you remember in the last podcast, I did talk about it, but we're gonna talk about it again. I used I used the Sultan cotton yarn in the rainbow color from Hobbii.com. I honestly enjoyed working with this yarn. We can look at one of my ends. As you can see, it's like one of those yarns that's just like 4 threads held together. Which at first when I started I thought was going to be super annoying since I crochet, but it actually wasn't bad at all. It didn't get in the way, I didn't experience any splitting, and I actually think it made the color gradients super like blendy. You can kind of see right here, so it's like there's, it progressively gets more blue as it comes up my shirt. Right here it gets progressively more green, like you see it. I actually kind of like the color blend. At first when I started it, the purple panel, I was like, oh, it's so cool, and then I got to the top and I thought this was a little much, but now that everything is sewn on, I actually really like, the brightness in the back. I don't know, I think the mismatchness is just it's super cool. I love this shirt, and I'm really happy that I got to make it. And if you guys would like to make your own, this pattern is releasing on July 23rd, which is in about 2 weeks. I'm super excited that I got the opportunity to test this shirt, and honestly, I think I would make it again. Although I will say, next time I make it, few things I would change. My gauge personally was not working out for me. It was not lining up. So my gauge ended up being quite a little bit smaller, or no, bigger. So I went down a hook size, but I didn't take into account everything that meant. So I really should have added a little bit more length to my shirt. It's not like a crop top or anything, but I would have preferred if it hit like 2 more inches or so longer. So I really should have taken that into account. This is, however, my first garment actually that I've made that I intend to wear. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I ended up making my sleeves a little bit longer once I realized my body was a little short, and it worked out perfectly. You see, I got my sleeve length, it fits on my shoulders, it's great. It's a solid shirt, and I'm more than happy. I am more than happy. I haven't taken my tester pics yet, but when I do, you will see those on Instagram. I need to go buy a shirt for the outfit I have in mind. I'm very excited for this outfit, and I actually need to make plans or something because this outfit is going to be banging. So just wait till you see it on Instagram. It's going to be worth it, I promise. The next finished object that I want to talk about is something that you probably have seen on my stories if you're really following along with me, but I made a project bag. I've been needing a new project bag for a while. This has been my go-to project bag for probably like a year now, ever since I made it. This is a little like Tunisian crochet number. I didn't know what it was gonna be at first. I just started doing Tunisian, trying out new stitch patterns and stuff. And I realized I could just make it long enough to make it a project bag, sewed it up the sides, put a rope in it, and this was my project bag. It was just a spur of the moment project and it just came to be. And that's honestly how this one came to be as well. This is, I believe, WeCrochet Dishie in the color red, obviously. But this is Lion Brand Wool Ease in the color Stillwater. And these, this tie, this like champagne-y color, it was like a 6-pack of silk shoelaces from Amazon. I bought like, I don't know, 2 years ago or something. Don't ask me for the link, I don't have it. But this project bag I'm super excited about. I'm very happy with it. It has a crochet base and a knit body. I did crochet base because I knew that I could start with magic circle, which means it was gonna start really fast, but I wanted to knit the body because I really wanted a knit project bag. I don't have one of those. Obviously, that's my only project bag, so now I have one of those. But honestly, this was very surprising, I want to say. I've never made a crochet knit combo anything before. I didn't really feel like, you know, figuring out the gauge and all that stuff, but now that I'm more comfortable with both crafts, I feel like it came together super quickly. I used a 6mm hook on the bottom. I think this is maybe like 9 rows or something. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. It's like 7 rows, aside from the magic circle. It's like 7 rows. And then I knit the body up on, I want to say 5mm needles. Don't quote me on that, but yeah. I knit the body up for, I believe, 7 or 8 inches. Then I split the sides so that I could do these little, you know, I just knitted it up, folded it over, and then I sewed it down, and that's how I made the bag. It took me a few days, but very easy, very easy. And my last finished object that I want to talk about is another spur of the moment freehand project that I just really wanted, that I made. Actually, I think I cast this on 2 days after the last podcast episode, but this is a simple ribbed beanie. Now, I've made beanies in the past. I've made a few, but I've always wanted a ribbed beanie, like a 1x1 ribbed beanie. I've made, you know, stockinette hats. I've made other ribbed hats. That pattern will come out at a point in time, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but I made other ribbed hats, but I wanted a classic 1x1 ribbed hat. I keep seeing everyone making ribbed hats, all the podcasts I've been watching, everyone's got a hat, everyone's got a hat. I've never had a 1x1 ribbed hat, and so I figured I would make one, and I just freehanded this. I cast on 96 stitches. I just knit 1x1 until I got to the top, and I did a decrease pattern that I cannot remember. Although I will say, if I wrote a pattern for this, I would do a different decrease pattern, so don't even worry about that. I would definitely do a different decrease pattern, but this is, I'm so happy with it. I wanted a thick brim. It's a nice oatmeal color, a great neutral that I'm definitely can see myself wearing this winter. Super happy with this hat. Honestly, it couldn't have gone better. This hat, I think I finished in like 3 or 4 days. It was the only project I was working on. It was a great break. I was working on it in between the shirt, actually. It was a great break from the shirt to switch from crochet to knit, and it was just a simple project. I'm obsessed, happy with it. Great hat. I don't know what that was, but great hat. Those are the finished objects that I finished in between the last podcast episode and this one. I probably will not finish anything by the time this episode is up, so you guys are safe. You didn't miss anything. You guys are safe. But one thing I am gonna talk about is my current whip, because I'm gonna be working on it while I get into today's topics. So this is actually the Peppermint Patty pillow. She's got a big old redesign. As much as I was really loving the new technique that I was trying out with the last iteration of this pillow, I just couldn't bring myself to say that I genuinely think it looked like a peppermint. It was like a red and white swirl, which was cool. It was cute. It was working up really fast, really easy, but it just didn't look like a peppermint to me. And this does. It's simple color work. It's definitely simple color work. But I definitely think when I write out this pattern, I'm gonna, you know, make it super easy to understand, make it super easy to work the color work. As you can see, you can't see any of my white, any of my white in the red and any of my red in the white. And that's because of the way that I'm working it, which I'm going to be sure to explain all that in the pattern. If you guys don't remember, I am making this pattern in collaboration with Hobbii Yarn, and it's going to be coming out around the holiday season, so you won't see it for a while, but we're talking about it now because I'm working on it now, and I think it's much better to talk about things and share the excitement with others when it's current and not, you know, something I've already worked on and finished and completed and all that stuff. So yeah, peppermint patty. But today's topic that I want to talk about, as you guys know, because I won't shut up about it, I just graduated. And I graduated about 2 months ago. And I think it's about time that I start thinking about next steps and, you know, like next goals and things I want to do in my life. So I've been thinking about life plans, you know, like everyone always says like, oh, what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? Well, I am taking it upon myself to try and come up with a 1-year plan and a 5-year plan, and potentially a 10-year plan, because I know people do that, but I don't think I'm at a place in my life where I could reasonably make a 10-year plan. I honestly don't even know where I'll be in a year for me to be making a 1-year plan, but it's good that I'm still making the plan because I'm at least setting goals, you know, keeping things in mind, knowing what I want to do. That's the important part of what the plans are, because everything in life isn't going to go to plan. Obviously, you could plan for days, years, you know, but things go how things go. So we'll see, you know, what happens with the plans. But as of right now, I plan to make a 1-year plan and a 5-year plan. And here is the format for how I'm making the plan. So essentially, I'm going off of who, what, when, where, why, and how. Which, like, I know this isn't English class, but hear me out. Let me explain. So, who? Who am I gonna be in 1 year? Who am I gonna be in 5 years? You know, like, who do I want to be? Who do I see myself being? Am I going to be, you know, a successful influencer? Am I going to be a successful pattern maker? Do I see myself taking fashion design seriously and becoming a full-blown fashion designer? Like, who will I be in these years, in these plans that I'm creating? The what is, what am I going to be doing? You know, it goes also off of who, but what will I be doing? Will I be, you know, selling patterns? Will I be working in a couture house? Will I be, I don't know, playing a guitar in the street? Like, what do I see myself doing? When, obviously, changes based on what plan it is, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 5 months even. The when is really based on how much time you think it would take you to accomplish what you want to accomplish with this plan. Where is really important to me too. Where do I see myself? Do I see myself in a new city, a new town, a new continent even? You know, like, where do I see myself accomplishing these goals and making these plans a reality? Why? Why do I see this for myself? You know, like, why is this what I want? Why is this important enough to put into this plan? You know, like, just why? And I think why is really important, because if you don't have a why, what are you doing? Like, you know, like, if there's no reason behind the decisions and the life choices that you're making, how do they really benefit you? You know, like, are you happy making these choices if you're doing them for no reason? Does that make sense? You know, like, just why? How do you see yourself accomplishing these goals? How do you see yourself doing what you say you're going to do with this plan? Honestly, besides when, I don't have full thoughts for a 5-year plan. Now, for the 1 year plan, I see myself moving out, obviously, but I really, really want to be in New York. It is expensive. It's gonna be difficult, but I already know, and I think I am a person who is prepared to do that. Like, you know, like I think, not to say that I want to struggle, because nobody wants to struggle, but I do think that I am prepared for living the life, you know? I don't know, I mean, I'm from New York originally, but I think like I don't know, it's what I want. It's what I want. I don't know if I can put it into words how or why or what, you know, even though this is the plan that I'm making, but I don't know. It's what I want. I see it for myself, and I know that I can do it. And honestly, I think that is reason enough to see myself where I see myself, which is in New York City. Who do I see myself as? Honestly, that's a tough question. I would really love to take my pattern business more seriously. I definitely still see myself designing patterns because crochet has become such a part of my life. I don't see myself giving it up anytime soon. But I don't know if I could make my business profitable enough in a year for that to be what I do. As much as I have this degree, I have been applying to jobs and currently there are no leads. So it's, you know, ideally in a year's time, I will be established in a position that I enjoy. Hopefully one that supports relocation, because then that means I don't have to spend that money myself. But yeah, I see myself in New York with a job that, even if I don't love, even if it's not the dream job that I want, that I work well in, that makes me enough money to survive in the city I want to be in. That is who I see myself being, and that is where I see myself being. Oh, that's also what I see myself doing, you know, okay. And why? Honestly, because I want it. It's what I want. I'm 21. I feel like I'm ready to live my life, you know, like I'm ready to step out of the bird's nest and see what the world has to offer. I want to go places and see things. I just want the opportunity to really try my best. I don't know if that, you know, like sounds like a good enough reason, but I really do. I want the chance to be my best self. And I think that's where and how I can do it, you know? Well, that's where and why, but how? How do I see myself getting there? I think how in these plans is the most important step, simply because everything else it's just dreams, it's just words, but how is the true plan? How is the steps you want to take to get there? And obviously, besides saving money, there are more steps to getting to New York than just saving money. You know, like how will I be saving this money? Like, what will I be doing that's going to make me enough money to save for this? You know, obviously I don't have a career yet. I work a hourly job. I enjoy my job. I do love my job, but I would like something more. I would like a big boy job. And hopefully I can get that soon. And once I do get my big boy job with a salary that is more than $35,000 a year, I will be able to reasonably and adequately save enough money to say that I am working towards my goals. And that is how I will accomplish my 1 year plan. Now, when it comes to the 5-year plan, hopefully, along with this big boy job, I'll be able to afford a camera. I'll be able to afford, you know, a newer tripod for said camera. I'll be able to take my you know, social media job more seriously. Not that I don't take it seriously right now. I mean, obviously, I set aside time to sit here and record a podcast because I take it seriously, but I want to be able to, like, do this, you know? Like, I don't know if that makes sense necessarily, but I want to be able to do this. Like, I truly do enjoy social media. Although I'm not on it all the time, a lot of my friends know like the only social media I really use is Twitter. I'm only on Instagram if I need to post for this. But I I I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting people and talking to people and being exposed to new things. Like that is really what I see social media as, you know, beyond the memes and the jokes and the submarines and the politics and all that stuff. I enjoy meeting people and trying new things. I mean, if it wasn't for social media, I would not have started crocheting. Like, I found Tony Lipsy through YouTube, and I was fully immersed into the world of crochet and fiber arts through Instagram and following people like TL Yarn Crafts on Instagram. And if I didn't make that decision, if I didn't take that step, I would not be here doing what I'm doing right now. Like, this shirt would not be on my body had I not found fiber arts through YouTube and Instagram, you know? Like, there's just there's so much to be had on social media beyond the negativity, beyond all that stuff. You have to find what you can get out of it, what it can do for you. I found what it can do for me, and I'm hoping and praying it can do more for me. And honestly, in 5 years, I think that means I would like to be a full-fledged influencer. I would love to go on brand trips. I would love to work with more brands to, you know, bring my crafts and my talents to wider audiences. I would love to get to teach people stuff and learn stuff from new people. I genuinely think that could be something I'm into. But it's not written in stone yet. It's not written in stone yet. But I do think maybe that just might be in my 5-year plan. Work. I also do just want to take a second to like talk about the importance of having conversations, not even just with other people, but also with yourself. Like, I'm talking to you guys, right? But in reality, I'm talking to myself. I'm in my bedroom by myself right now, talking to my phone with the intention that the video and the words and the message will reach you guys wherever you are. But before I get the opportunity to have my words and my message reach you guys, it has to reach me, which it's doing right now. I'm talking out loud and making plans out loud. And I think that's really important. I think that you should be having these conversations with yourself. Like, yeah, you can talk to your partner or your best friend or your therapist or whatever, but talking with yourself and making plans with yourself, convincing yourself, manifesting things with yourself is very important. If you're not being honest with yourself, if you're not having discussions with yourself where you plan out things, make sense of things, you know, like you're wasting your potential. I don't know how to put it better, but you know, don't waste your potential. Don't waste your potential. Have these conversations, make it known what you want to do to yourself, to the universe, even to those around you. Just make it known, because the last thing you'd want to do is waste your potential. Work. The last thing that I wanted to talk about before I get into my whips, which is what's going to close out the episode, podcasts. I guess, when I talk about what I talk about with the podcast, it won't seem like such a random, like out of left field decision, but there are 2 podcasts that I have been really into lately that I want to share with you guys. The first one that I'm going to talk about is one that I'm super, super excited to talk about, and honestly, even honored, I should say, to talk about. One of my great, great friends, Nyla Brenham, let's put the whole name out there. We just graduated from school together, and she has started an actually very good podcast, which is available on select platforms, but anywhere you can get your podcast. You know, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify. Go listen. It's called Chattin' the Podcast. Chattin' the Podcast with Nyla. Right, get it correct. But the premise of the podcast is she's talking about I'm reading this directly off the Spotify page. Real talk from real people with real perspectives. And as of right now, there's only 2 episodes out. The first one is talking about the general idea of influences and what they can have on your life. But the second one is about relationship influences. And I have been really into this podcast. Not only am I very proud of my friend, but I also feel like I'm learning a lot from this podcast. I feel like it's making me think about things. Not that I feel like, you know, there's necessarily any problems in my life or anything I need to be reevaluating, but I love hearing her perspective and how she sees these things. You know, like I share a lot of the similar thoughts and the way that she feels about these things, but there's also certain messages she'll say that it's like, oh, I haven't thought about it like that before. In the same way where you could have a conversation with one of your friends and it's like they say something and it makes you think. Listening to this podcast is exactly like that. It has me stopping and thinking. I'm like, oh, like she's right about that. You know, maybe you should think about this, or maybe this is something you should consider, maybe talk to your friends about. You know, like I'm obsessed with this podcast. Beyond being very, very proud of my friend, I genuinely enjoy the podcast. I'm going to link it down below, as with everything else this episode, but this podcast especially, I really think you guys should give it a listen. And the other podcast that I've really been into is called Highbrow. This podcast is super fun. Reading this off the Spotify page as well. Highbrow is a chic podcast for cool girls and self-identified intellectuals. It's hosted by Mina, who has a YouTube channel that is fashion related, and the podcast is fashion related, but I like the way that she talks about fashion. She references history and articles, and she talks about topics that are very current and very new, and I'm very into not only the way this podcast is structured and set up and styled, but I'm really into the topics and the things she talks about. The most recent episode is called In Defense of the Bridezilla, and I very much enjoyed listening to it. It's essentially talking about wedding culture, wedding trends, the way that Bridezilla as a topic, you know, has permeated through wedding culture, the way that wedding culture has become so important and so serious and so high pressure for women. I really enjoy the podcast. I love Highbrow. These are like the 2 podcasts that I'm making sure I catch the new episodes of, beyond the other podcasts that I listen to, which include r/ and Sibling Ravelry. These 2 podcasts are some very positive, very solid new additions to my listening list that I highly recommend that you guys also listen to if you're someone that's really into podcasts. I said all that just to not work on my whip, huh? But now let's move on to whips, because yeah. I already talked about my peppermint patty pillow, which has a redesign, and I'm still super excited about. We'll see how big I decided I'm actually gonna make it, because I do want to make it a throw pillow size. I'm thinking somewhere around 7 to 9 inches should be cool, especially for a pillow. I want it to be a focal point, like, you know, a design, you know, like when it comes to the holiday season, throw this pillow on your couch. I want it to be very, very eye-catching, but I don't want it to be too big to the point where it's overwhelming next to other decor you might put in your house, you know? So we'll think about that. That'll come later. But one really exciting whip that I want to talk about is Martha's hanger. I made Martha's hanger and I talked to you guys about it in the last podcast. And since that has been made, I have not written down the pattern. And that's really funny because it's been made for like 2 months now and I have not even thought about writing down the pattern. But now I have. I'm going to write 2 different versions. I'm going to write one for a 4.5 inch pot, and then I'm going to write this, not 2 different versions, 2 different sizes, potentially 3. But this one I'm working on right now is the sample for the 4.5 inch size. I'm going to work on one for a 6 inch size, and then potentially a larger size, or just give instructions on how to make a larger size, because Martha is a pretty big plant. But you know, like, this is the 4.5-inch size. Like, I want to make sure that you can give all your plants some love. You can make plant hangers so that your plants can grow with you, type thing. A little deep for talking about a plant hanger, but that is genuinely how I feel. I love my plants. I love my plants with all my heart. I love my plants, and I love my plant hanger, which is why I'm gonna start writing the pattern. Okay. And my last whip that I want to talk about is actually a sewing item. It's a little, what do they call it, an upcycle? Before I left for school, one of my best friends, Kaya, gave me this LL Bean bag to turn into a backpack for her. I genuinely have no clue what the original intention of this bag is, because this is the only strap on it, and it has like a big pocket. Like, this is no small bag. So I'm gonna turn this into a backpack for her. I'm using navy blue navy blue webbing to kind of play off of this right here. And I'm just gonna open up the top right here and open up this seam right here. Just tuck them in there, resew them down. But don't tell Kaya. But I wanna add, like, you know, D-rings and things inside and outside just to make it a little bit more utilitarian. Like, just something that she can really get her use out of. I wanna make the straps adjustable, put a little D-ring at the bottom in case she wants to hang her keys or like a keychain. She's a girl who has a lot of things on her keychain, so you know, just little things she can decorate around her bag. On the inside, if I can, I want to put in one of those key straps. You can just clip your keys to it and you don't lose your keys in your bag. Just little things like that. So hopefully this can get done within the week, and when the next episode comes around, you guys will see it. Hopefully that's before I get the chance to ship it off, though. I kind of want to fill it with things that she likes before I ship it off, so you'll see. You'll see it when it's done. You'll see it when it's done. But yeah, that is my list for the podcast. That's the list I made for this episode. Honestly, I think I did a good job organizing my thoughts. Beyond my little ramblings here and there, I just feel like I was getting really into the chatting part, the chatting. You heard it. I feel like I was just getting really into the topics that I wanted to talk about today, which is a good thing. And hopefully I come up with topics in the future that are just as exciting for you guys as they are for me to talk about and hear. We're having a conversation here, the things to converse about. Hopefully they're as engaging to converse about as I feel like this topic is. Like I said last time, if you guys have any topics you want to hear me talk more about, whether it be life or updates on my year plans, I would be more than happy to talk about those things on the podcast. I enjoy talking with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy talking with me. Keep this conversation going down in the comments. If there's anything I said that stuck out to you or anything that you want to elaborate on in the comments, I absolutely implore you to comment down below so we can keep this conversation going. Like I said, I love social media because it gets me meeting new people. You get to talk with new people, hear new perspectives, see things you haven't seen before. And hopefully this podcast is something like that for someone out there. So yeah, I am Stefan from StephMadeThat, and this has been StephMadeThat the podcast, episode 2. The official rebrand. You get it. All right, bye.